Didn't think your mum and dad would leave you with nothing now, did you?
J.K. Rowling left us with so many questions about Harry Potter's parents, but the truth is out about Lily and James Potter, and it sure is shocking. Delve into all the scenes about James and Lily in the books and the movies, and you'll still be left thinking, wait, what? Fortunately, J.K. Rowling herself has revealed fascinating little-known secrets, and when you dig deep, you find truths you'd never expect.
A car crash? A car crash killed Lily and James Potter?
James Potter came from a wealthy wizard line, where Lily Evans was from an ordinary Muggle family. But what's the truth behind why the Potters were so rich? What happened to both of their families? Get ready for some answers. Harry is a blend of his mother and his father. When he looks into the mirror of Erised, he realizes his mum's eyes are bright green, just like his.
You look very like your father, except for the eyes, of course. You have your...
My mother's eyes, yeah.
Lily, lovely Lily.
But his messy hair makes him more closely resemble his dad. It's not all about looks, though, or the Quidditch skills Harry inherited from James.
Harry, you never told me your father was a seeker too. I didn't know.
Sirius Black and Remus Lupin both saw glimpses of James's behavior in Harry, and Severus Snape certainly drew uncomplimentary comparisons between the two.
You're just like your father. Lazy, arrogant, weak.
But as Dumbledore points out in Deathly Hallows, although Harry is like his dad in looks, his deepest nature is much more like his mother's. And that's pretty important, given the negative glimpses we get of James as a teenager. We're going to get to the bottom of why James was so cruel to Snape at school, and why he turned things around to later become head boy. The truth might just surprise you.
Your father was a swine.
We're going right back to James's childhood. In 2015, J.K. Rowling gave fans a long history lesson on the Potter family in a web entry on Pottermore. The author explains that Potter is not an uncommon Muggle name, and that's why they didn't make it onto the so-called Sacred 28.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter!
The person who created that list of truly pureblood families suspected the Potters had come from what he considered to be tainted blood. However, the wizarding Potter family actually had impressive beginnings, dating back to the 12th century wizard LINFRED of STINCHCOMBE. His magical remedies became famous potions, like Skelligro and Pepper Up Potion, and earned him a heap of cash. LINFRED's son married the granddaughter of Ignatus Preveril, and she inherited his invisibility cloak, which Harry inherited from his dad centuries later.
I know what that is. That's an invisibility cloak. I'm invisible.
As the compiler of the Sacred 28 suspected, the Potters didn't stay pureblood. Through generations, they married their neighbors, who were sometimes Muggles. But things get really interesting when we get to James's dad, FLEAMONT Potter. He quadrupled the family gold by creating magical Sleek Easy's hair potion, which Hermione uses to tame her tresses for the Yule Ball, of course.
Is that Hermione Granger?
No, absolutely not.
FLEAMONT sold his company at a vast profit, which he then passed on to his only child with wife Euphemina. J.K. Rowling also revealed a few facts about James's parents and childhood in a 2005 interview with The Leaky Cauldron and MuggleNet. She explained that they were older when they had James, so he was a very pampered only child, considered an extra treasure. That could go some way to explaining James's bullying behavior at Hogwarts, if he could do no wrong in his parents' eyes. Rowling revealed that they succumbed to a wizarding illness. We later learned more details about that from Rowling. The couple lived long enough to see James marry Lily, but dragonpox meant they didn't survive to meet their grandson Harry. James's parents made a key decision during their son's time at Hogwarts that had a huge impact on James's turnaround from bully to head boy. Stay tuned for all the deets on that, as we need to give Lily some attention now.
I was the only one to see her for what she was. A freak.
Lily's childhood and family background are far removed from James's. Rather than being part of a wizarding home, Lily was part of a Muggle household. J.K. Rowling revealed she grew up in a fictional town called COKEWORTH in the Midlands, as did Snape, and her sister Petunia sure didn't like Lily's talent.
Freak! Up here! I'm gonna tell Mummy! You're a freak!
Despite Petunia's meanness, Lily remains kind-hearted. Even as a child, Lily understood that people's attitudes could be complex and come from a place of pain. It makes sense that Petunia's cruelty stemmed from envy.
Oh, my mother and father were so proud.
In Deathly Hallows, we discover that Petunia wrote to Dumbledore asking if she could attend Hogwarts with Lily, and she continues with that judgmental attitude with Harry.
when I knew you would be the same, just as strange, just as abnormal.
Harry and Lily were alike in more than just magical ways. She sacrificed herself for her son, and Harry was willing to do the same for his loved ones. It's very hard to find information about what happened to Lily's parents, but J.K. Rowling did actually reveal their fate during an interview with The Leaky Cauldron and MuggleNet in 2005. She explained that, as a writer, it was more interesting plot-wise if Harry was completely alone, so she rather ruthlessly disposed of his entire family apart from Aunt Petunia. Lily's parents passed away due to normal Muggle circumstances. She said there was nothing serious or sinister about their passing. Although her relationship with her sister became unbearable, Lily found friendship with Snape in childhood, and their friendship created a lot of the tension between Lily and James at Hogwarts. We learn a lot about Lily and James's days at Hogwarts during Snape's Worst Memory in The Order of the Phoenix, like how Lily described James as an arrogant, bullying toe rag, and she defended Snape when James was bullying him. But Snape was so embarrassed by the whole episode that he called Lily a filthy little mudblood. That put paid to their friendship, and it was Snape's worst memory because Lily was everything to him.
If you truly loved her, no one can know.
And he could have been everything to Lily too, according to J.K. Rowling. The author revealed that in a 2007 web chat on the Bloomsbury site that Lily might have even grown to love Snape romantically if he had not loved dark magic so much and been drawn to such loathsome people and acts.
You've been a good and faithful servant, Severus, but only I can live forever.
In the Deathly Hallows, we learned how Lily stood up to Snape about his creepy friends. She told him it was too late for their friendship because of those precious little Death Eater friends he hung out with. With Snape out of the picture, Lily fell for James. In their 7th year, they were a couple and were head girl and head boy. But how and why did James change from being that arrogant, bullying toe rag Lily had described him as? There's a fascinating fan theory by Emmett Asher Perrin that refutes the idea that James simply changed his ways because he wanted to win the girl. He actually changed because of the responsibility he felt towards his best friend Sirius. We learn how Sirius was so off the rails in their 5th year at Hogwarts that he told Snape to head into the Whomping Willow to discover where Remus had been disappearing every month. Sirius considered it a prank, but it could have actually ended Snape's life. James realized that fact and stopped Snape before he got hurt. That shows that James had a moral compass. When Sirius ran away from his awful Death Eater family before their 6th year, he took refuge with James and his parents. The Potters were kind and supportive, and James realized that he needed to offer Sirius that same kind of stability and protection. After all, there was a wizarding war raging, and James knew things were only going to get harder for them all. So James stepped up to be the kind of mature, compassionate person Sirius needed, and the kind of person Remus could rely on too. His love for his friends changed his behavior, and the bonus was that he incidentally became the sort of man Lily could love. But why did their relationship then move so fast? Many fans question why Lily and James got married so quickly and so young. They wed shortly after they graduated Hogwarts, so they were still in their teens.
But now, please join me in welcoming the lovely ladies.
But let's not forget the First Wizarding War was taking place at that time. The couple joined the Order of the Phoenix during this dangerous time. Surely they all felt that their days could be numbered. That could also be why they had Harry so quickly into their marriage, just into their 20s. Are you as exhausted as we are after all of those intense revelations about Harry's parents? Which secret truth surprised you the most? How do you feel about Lily and James now? Be sure to tell us in the comments section. Thanks for watching!